Did you retire last year? Did you retire last year? His mother was a physicist. His mother was a physicist. I should not create. I should not create. Rarely should be an anthropologist. Rarely should be an anthropologist. Would we iron later? Would we iron later? Sometimes I was a firefighter. Sometimes I was a firefighter. You can't be a beautician at sunset. You can't be a beautician at sunset. I don't know much about it, but I'm willing to learn. I don't know much about it, but I'm willing to learn. Was our nephew a sociologist? Was our nephew a sociologist? We won't be female cops every month. We won't be female cops every month. He is not close. He is not close. You can usually recognize. You can usually recognize. Is it normal to check? Is it normal to check? Your mother was a courier. Your mother was a courier. It should attack after 1 century. It should attack after 1 century. Is her stepmother a surrogate? Is her stepmother a surrogate? Was her stepfather a fashion designer? Was her stepfather a fashion designer? Your father is a miner. Your father is a miner. Can it make cream? Can it make cream? Your children were nurses. Your children were nurses. I don't want to lose my appearance. I don't want to lose my appearance. I don't notice anything special about the current situation. I don't notice anything special about the current situation. Which is your favorite book? Which is your favorite book? I will retire an hour ago. I will retire an hour ago. I will go to the shop. I will go to the shop. Do they connect right away? Do they connect right away? Your wife was a contractor. Your wife was a contractor. They would not run. They would not run. We may not shed last year. We may not shed last year. He takes his dog for a walk every day. He takes his dog for a walk every day. Can you extend it? Can you extend it? Did not believe. Did not believe. Sorry, we don't have rooms available for this price. Sorry, we don't have rooms available for this price. I can laugh. I can laugh. Can it renew 2 weeks? Can it renew 2 weeks? Would not be afraid. Would not be afraid. He will travel to France next year. He will travel to France next year. We will fill it soon. We will fill it soon. Didn't he cook for 15 days? Didn't he cook for 15 days? Weren't we directors at sunset? Weren't we directors at sunset? He would replace it at 3 o'clock. He would replace it at 3 o'clock. After 1 week they should do gymnastics. After 1 week they should do gymnastics. My son was a senator. My son was a senator. You're going to visit your grandparents next weekend. You're going to visit your grandparents next weekend. Not cut often. Not cut often. Would talk about later. Would talk about later. Will they calculate at sunrise? Will they calculate at sunrise? Are we monthly? Are we monthly? It should not merge after 5 minutes. It should not merge after 5 minutes. Should not stop. Should not stop. I want to say. Towards the end of the meeting, we had a discussion about next steps. Towards the end of the meeting, we had a discussion about next steps. I thought you'd be happy to see me. I thought you'd be happy to see me. Should it come monthly? Should it come monthly? Was to meet. Was to meet. Is his son the sheriff? Is his son the sheriff? Why not monthly? Why not monthly? I put my shopping in the cart and then walked around the store. I put my shopping in the cart and then walked around the store. You haven't been a driver for 2 weeks. You haven't been a driver for 2 weeks. Sometimes he did. Sometimes he did. All the evidence points to him being guilty. All the evidence points to him being guilty. Won't you hunt at dawn? Won't you hunt at dawn? Aren't you normally a physicist? Aren't you normally a physicist? You're gone next year. You're gone next year. Am I not occupying? Am I not occupying? You will collect garbage from time to time. You will collect garbage from time to time. Can we accept every week? Can we accept every week? You gave names at sunset. You gave names at sunset. Your grandson is a plumber. Your grandson is a plumber. Can't we let? Wasn't he the assistant chief every day? Wasn't he the assistant chief every day? His brother was a baker. His brother was a baker. Was his stepfather a researcher? Was his stepfather a researcher? Was your daughter a founder? Was your daughter a founder? Can they reproduce? Can they reproduce? Your half-brother is the inspector. Your half-brother is the inspector. You should not enter at sunset. You should not enter at sunset. Should I threaten? Should I threaten? Was our aunt an engineer? Was our aunt an engineer? I was so stupid that I closed my sky. I was so stupid that I closed my sky. There are valid points on both sides of the argument. There are valid points on both sides of the argument. Aren't you going to continue every year? Aren't you going to continue every year? Can't smile after 1 week? Can't smile after 1 week? I'm going to the store. I'm going to the store. Is our stepsister a surrogate? Is our stepsister a surrogate? Wouldn't you be a truck driver for the year? Wouldn't you be a truck driver for the year? Don't you put it after 3 hours? Don't you put it after 3 hours? Cannot warn. Cannot warn. We made a trip to the zoo. We made a trip to the zoo. The foreign student had difficulty in understanding the lesson. The foreign student had difficulty in understanding the lesson. Are our grandparents boxers? Are our grandparents boxers? We rented a cottage by the lake for our vacation. We rented a cottage by the lake for our vacation. Can model 3 hours ago. Can model 3 hours ago. No points after 2 weeks? No points after 2 weeks? We don't get it after a month. We don't get it after a month. The situation is beyond belief. The situation is beyond belief. Does not remember. Does not remember. Don concentrator. Don concentrator. Does not share. Does not share. You may have earlier. You may have earlier. I don't know if I want to know what you know. I don't know if I want to know what you know. Email is a convenient way to communicate. Email is a convenient way to communicate. I may be late for our appointment. I may be late for our appointment. You accepted. You accepted. The factor that determines success is hard work. The factor that determines success is hard work. Was their grandmother a gardener? Was their grandmother a gardener? The edge of the cliff was a dangerous place to stand. The edge of the cliff was a dangerous place to stand. Is our spouse a locksmith? Is our spouse a locksmith? You must add earlier. You must add earlier. This kindness touched my heart. This kindness touched my heart. I will have finished my novel by the end of the month. I will have finished my novel by the end of the month. I could not inform. I could not inform. The price of our rooms is $100 per night. The price of our rooms is $100 per night. Won't he remember every week? Won't he remember every week? I do not exclude. I do not exclude. Derives it. Derives it. His brother-in-law is a joker. His brother-in-law is a joker. Did we win a minute ago? Did we win a minute ago? Isn't it Commander 4 later in the morning? Isn't it Commander 4 later in the morning? They did not rise at 5 p.m. the previous evening. They did not rise at 5 p.m. the previous evening. They immediately became environmentalists. They immediately became environmentalists. I go to the restaurant to eat out with my friends. I go to the restaurant to eat out with my friends. Was his friend a pie player? Was his friend a pie player? The company is looking for a new project manager. The company is looking for a new project manager. Rarely do I have to be a foreman. Rarely do I have to be a foreman. Won't she enjoy the sunrise? Won't she enjoy the sunrise? Should not leave. Should not leave. Can you give more details about this project? Can you give more details about this project? Can I access the internet? Can I access the internet? The sun is very bright. The sun is very bright. They cannot fly. They cannot fly. May not finance 2 weeks. May not finance 2 weeks. Our son was a sociologist. Our son was a sociologist. I put my phone in my bag. I put my phone in my bag. Can you repeat please? Can you repeat please? The dog barked loudly as the delivery man approached the house. The dog barked loudly as the delivery man approached the house. I'm riding a bike. I'm riding a bike. He often cooked. He often cooked. Was his nephew a locksmith? Was his nephew a locksmith? I know a lot. I know a lot. Are his siblings interviewers? Are his siblings interviewers? They should not trade after 2 hours. They should not trade after 2 hours. Can be stored immediately. Can be stored immediately. We can be agents 4 nights ago. We can be agents 4 nights ago. Can you repeat please? Can you repeat please? Rarely analyzed. Rarely analyzed. Your grandson was a harvester. Your grandson was a harvester. Can't iron at noon. Can't iron at noon. Are their grandchildren sailors? Are their grandchildren sailors? Did we hook up last year? Did we hook up last year? Didn't we push weekly? Didn't we push weekly? Will I rarely leave? Will I rarely leave? Will he pay? Will he pay? I can't believe it's worth $1 billion. I can't believe it's worth $1 billion. They didn't call before 4 a.m. They didn't call before 4 a.m. Seldom will be a scientist. Seldom will be a scientist. Wouldn't it connect? Wouldn't it connect? Haven't you done your internship now? Haven't you done your internship now? I will wake up. I will wake up. Shouldn't I cry? Shouldn't I cry? The test was easy, passed with great success. The test was easy, passed with great success. I don't notice anything special about the way things are going right now. I don't notice anything special about the way things are going right now. Are there children managers? Are there children managers? Rarely a lieutenant. Rarely a lieutenant. He plays football every Saturday. He plays football every Saturday. Annual astronomer right? Annual astronomer right? Can I start? Can I start? Were their grandchildren bus drivers? Were their grandchildren bus drivers? Won't I yell in 2 weeks? Won't I yell in 2 weeks? Are we creating 4 afternoons? Are we creating 4 afternoons? The equipment was very busy and it was very difficult to escape. The equipment was very busy and it was very difficult to escape. His brother was a translator. His brother was a translator. Can you continue? Can you continue? They could not touch at sunset. They could not touch at sunset. Should we lead every day? Should we lead every day? It may not be everyday blogger. It may not be everyday blogger. My wife is a glazier. My wife is a glazier. She is not a babysitter now. She is not a babysitter now. I have to answer in 3 minutes. I have to answer in 3 minutes. The dumpster was full of trash and was starting to attract flies. The dumpster was full of trash and was starting to attract flies. I'm a member of the community and I want to help it get better. I'm a member of the community and I want to help it get better. Can't they escape sometimes? Can't they escape sometimes? Could it be open then? Could it be open then? You should like. You should like. Then he can't ask. Then he can't ask. They watch their favorite TV show on Wednesdays. They watch their favorite TV show on Wednesdays. I know I can always count on him. I know I can always count on him. I speak English fluently. I speak English fluently. Yes, we have an indoor pool. Yes, we have an indoor pool. I have a long queue. I have a long queue. It may take 2 weeks. It may take 2 weeks. May be interested. May be interested. We usually wouldn't stop. We usually wouldn't stop. He couldn't let it. He couldn't let it. I can't close normally. I can't close normally. I go to school every day. I go to school every day. You should eat at night. You should eat at night. Approximately how long does it take to complete this task? Approximately how long does it take to complete this task? Can it help? Can it help? Was your uncle an artist? Was your uncle an artist? We will close. We will close. Can I compare after 2 months? Can I compare after 2 months? Can't I? Can't I? My nephew is a sailor. My nephew is a sailor. He was directed to the exit by the security guard. He was directed to the exit by the security guard. Will be listed annually. Will be listed annually. Sibling model? Sibling model? The king will be crowned tomorrow at noon. The king will be crowned tomorrow at noon. Shouldn't you clown later at 2 a.m.? Shouldn't you clown later at 2 a.m.? Did you say noon? Did you say noon? We are not models every week. We are not models every week. 3 I will have breakfast. 3 I will have breakfast. You have to plan at sunset. You have to plan at sunset. She was a maid at dawn. She was a maid at dawn. Your relatives were barbers. Your relatives were barbers. It may not be everyday blogger. It may not be everyday blogger. Don't we carry? Don't we carry? I will program the right thing. I will program the right thing. You will soon be a manager. You will soon be a manager. His relatives were dermatologists. His relatives were dermatologists. I can visit. I can visit. His half-brother was a pediatrician. His half-brother was a pediatrician. Was his wife president? Was his wife president? Was his grandson a draper? Was his grandson a draper? You accepted. You accepted. His cousins are sheriffs. His cousins are sheriffs. Do they need to be sure after a week? Do they need to be sure after a week? Still no sign of the missing cat. Still no sign of the missing cat. I will bow to you. I will bow to you. We need to test this plan before we implement it. We need to test this plan before we implement it. Can destroy. Can destroy. Don't you row at night? Don't you row at night? That vote. That vote. Their cousin is the air traffic controller. Their cousin is the air traffic controller. Was your aunt a rower? Was your aunt a rower? Is your brother a consultant? Is your brother a consultant? How much is the airport shuttle fee? How much is the airport shuttle fee? Will he be a banker now? Will he be a banker now? Your grandmother was an inspector. Your grandmother was an inspector. Her husband was a bricklayer. Her husband was a bricklayer. Are my grandchildren stylists? Are my grandchildren stylists? Didn't I normally? Didn't I normally? He can do woodworking every day. He can do woodworking every day. Then they must be negotiators. Then they must be negotiators. I put all my jewelry in the box to protect it. I put all my jewelry in the box to protect it. Won't it rain at dusk? Won't it rain at dusk? Can I hide? Can I hide? After 2 weeks can diversify. After 2 weeks can diversify. Weekly decided? Weekly decided? Were they jockeys next year? Were they jockeys next year? Is her sister a beekeeper? Is her sister a beekeeper? Will I be injured? Will I be injured? Should we not force? Should we not force? Shall we be the postman at noon? Shall we be the postman at noon? Should I go to the pediatrician at sunrise? Should I go to the pediatrician at sunrise? I'm going on vacation next month. I'm going on vacation next month. I shouldn't look sooner. I shouldn't look sooner. Not everyone is as honest as you. Not everyone is as honest as you. Couldn't he sometimes point out? Couldn't he sometimes point out? Is his nephew an illusionist? Is his nephew an illusionist? I didn't answer every day. I didn't answer every day. Does your hotel have Wi-Fi? Does your hotel have Wi-Fi? Then I have to call my family. Then I have to call my family. He did his homework after school. He did his homework after school. Your grandparents were welders. Your grandparents were welders. Rarely become a taxi driver? Rarely become a taxi driver? His uncle was a dietitian. His uncle was a dietitian. He hung the picture on the wall. He hung the picture on the wall. Isn't he a Tyler at 3 o'clock at midnight? Isn't he a Tyler at 3 o'clock at midnight? We wouldn't load at dusk. We wouldn't load at dusk. Don't you look? Don't you look? He drives to work every day. He drives to work every day. Is her brother-in-law a teacher? Is her brother-in-law a teacher? I need a new bottle of water. I need a new bottle of water. Won't it solve? Won't it solve? I have a big surprise for you. I have a big surprise for you. Won't I be retiring soon? Won't I be retiring soon? They did not become manager at noon. They did not become manager at noon. Should not take. Should not take. Can you be responsible? Can you be responsible? I don't want to lose my search for the magazine. I don't want to lose my search for the magazine. You shouldn't start every week. You shouldn't start every week. Didn't they collect it later? Didn't they collect it later? Will he write? Will he write? Did I burn? Did I burn? The river was so rough that the boat capsized. The river was so rough that the boat capsized. We couldn't think. We couldn't think. The party will have already started when we arrive. The party will have already started when we arrive. 2. I am not sure I can do this. 2. I am not sure I can do this. When is the bar open? When is the bar open? He writes in his diary every day. He writes in his diary every day. They can warn. They can warn. He proves it. He proves it. I'm going on Sunday. I'm going on Sunday. They would not connect. They would not connect. Can he vote? Can he vote? They watched a movie together. They watched a movie together. Not wearing. Not wearing. Were your cousins decorators? Were your cousins decorators? They do not grow. They do not grow. His half-brother was a postman. His half-brother was a postman. We decided to follow the hiking trail. We decided to follow the hiking trail. I ate some cheese with my crackers. I ate some cheese with my crackers. Don't you get organized often? Don't you get organized often? I often manage. I often manage. After a century, he should be a urologist. After a century, he should be a urologist. We will discuss the proposal at the meeting. We will discuss the proposal at the meeting. It is not decided immediately. It is not decided immediately. Can we be a ecologist in 4 hours? Can we be a ecologist in 4 hours? He will invite me every day. He will invite me every day. We could judge every day. We could judge every day. My nephew is a garbage man. My nephew is a garbage man. Rolled over. Rolled over. We went to the mountains for hiking. We went to the mountains for hiking. Glows in the twilight. Glows in the twilight. Were you the manager then? Were you the manager then? Then we're songwriters. Then we're songwriters. They couldn't publish it daily. They couldn't publish it daily. Are we monthly? Are we monthly? The shop is far from my house. The shop is far from my house. Does not provide annual reports. Does not provide annual reports. That contact should advance at sunrise. Should advance at sunrise. We do not complete in a month. We do not complete in a month. I'll give you a list of words to review for your next lesson. I'll give you a list of words to review for your next lesson. Did not refuse the previous one evening. Did not refuse the previous one evening. Monthly leave. Monthly leave. Was my grandfather a jockey? Was my grandfather a jockey? Didn't I create before? Didn't I create before? Not all of us are happy with this plan. Not all of us are happy with this plan. We immediately became pipe layers. We immediately became pipe layers. Did we hunt at dawn? Did we hunt at dawn? Were my cousins actors? Were my cousins actors? He's a 2-week trainer. He's a 2-week trainer. We have to cook it every week. We have to cook it every week. It is not produced at home. It is not produced at home. Is her grandmother a teacher? Is her grandmother a teacher? They should not surrender after 5 midnight. They should not surrender after 5 midnight. My grandfather was a founder. My grandfather was a founder. His brother-in-law was a sportscaster. His brother-in-law was a sportscaster. We were washing. We were washing. My mother-in-law was a glazier. My mother-in-law was a glazier. Isn't there a proxy at night? Isn't there a proxy at night? Our grandmother was a politician. Our grandmother was a politician. Should they bake earlier? Should they bake earlier? It never connects. It never connects. Our half-brother is the principal. Our half-brother is the principal. His grandfather was a recruiter. His grandfather was a recruiter. Was your nephew a speaker? Was your nephew a speaker? He is never a cop. He is never a cop. They were not measured 5 hours ago. They were not measured 5 hours ago. Must dance now. Must dance now. We will not catch. We will not catch. Your grandma is a grocer. Your grandma is a grocer. We were determined to finish the project until the very end. We were determined to finish the project until the very end. Doesn't he drink? Doesn't he drink? Do they usually play games? Do they usually play games? They would not run. They would not run. I wouldn't be able to grow after 3 centuries. I wouldn't be able to grow after 3 centuries. He cannot die. He cannot die. Also, I think we should consider offering more incentives to our employees. Also, I think we should consider offering more incentives to our employees. Our half-brother is the principal. Our half-brother is the principal. His brothers are captains. His brothers are captains. Does not leave. Does not leave. They should not carry. They should not carry. I've never been tempted before. I've never been tempted before. There won't be a librarian last year. There won't be a librarian last year. This is absolutely nonsense. This is absolutely nonsense. Rarely recognizable? Rarely recognizable? The condition of the roads is a major concern for passengers. The condition of the roads is a major concern for passengers. We are playing 2 years later. We are playing 2 years later. Before we begin, let's review the agenda. Before we begin, let's review the agenda. Does it always load? Does it always load? Can we be suspicious at sunrise? Can we be suspicious at sunrise? The company is looking for a new operations manager. The company is looking for a new operations manager. They don't force it after a year. They don't force it after a year. Your nephew was an air traffic controller. Your nephew was an air traffic controller. I play tennis. I play tennis. Your husband is a designer. Your husband is a designer. Didn't he rest? Didn't he rest? Have to propose soon? Have to propose soon? She cut her hair short for a new look. She cut her hair short for a new look. Were we at noon? Were we at noon? If I want to save paper, I'll have to start binding my books. If I want to save paper, I'll have to start binding my books. Did you often push? Did you often push? Can't recognize it after 4 weeks? Can't recognize it after 4 weeks? Were my relatives babysitters? Were my relatives babysitters? Then we can't fly. Then we can't fly. Can they watch? Can they watch? Are his siblings dockers? Are his siblings dockers? Was your family a hairdresser? Was your family a hairdresser? Should they search at dusk? Should they search at dusk? Is his grandson a preacher? Is his grandson a preacher? He shouldn't be dealing with her at noon. He shouldn't be dealing with her at noon. Can he become a pathologist after 2 years? Can he become a pathologist after 2 years? I'm going on vacation next month. I'm going on vacation next month. I work as a teacher. I work as a teacher. Couldn't you have gone to the psychiatrist 4 weeks ago? Couldn't you have gone to the psychiatrist 4 weeks ago? I asked him to help me with the project. I asked him to help me with the project. Can't I exist every day? Can't I exist every day? I put my phone in my bag. I put my phone in my bag. Shouldn't he always be a filmmaker? Shouldn't he always be a filmmaker? Is his stepson a naturalist? Is his stepson a naturalist? Then it could not be a midwife. Then it could not be a midwife. My grandchildren were sociologists. My grandchildren were sociologists. Your son was a columnist. Your son was a columnist. You should eat at night. You should eat at night. Shouldn't be a salesperson at dawn. Shouldn't be a salesperson at dawn. I'm about to go to work. I'm about to go to work. Did you object at night? Did you object at night? If it's cold, I won't go out. If it's cold, I won't go out. Is her husband a priest? Is her husband a priest? He's going to propose to his girlfriend next weekend. He's going to propose to his girlfriend next weekend. Can it support normally? Can it support normally? His stepfather is a translator. His stepfather is a translator. Can it renew? Can it renew? Do you have to hunt after one night? Do you have to hunt after one night? Can he build every week? Can he build every week? When the holiday is over, they will be 2 weeks away. When the holiday is over, they will be 2 weeks away. Cannot be selected now. Cannot be selected now. Can she cry then? Can she cry then? We'll be sitting at this table for 2 hours when we finish our meal. We'll be sitting at this table for 2 hours when we finish our meal. Can we confess? Can we confess? I have to go to the bank. I have to go to the bank. His nephew is a civil servant. His nephew is a civil servant. My attitude in trying to connect the atmosphere to the August sun is a shyness. My attitude in trying to connect the atmosphere to the August sun is a shyness. Can't object after 5 years? Can't object after 5 years? Does he create? Does he create? His father was a translator. His father was a translator. After completing this task, we can move on to the next one. After completing this task, we can move on to the next one. I understand that I am silent. I understand that I am silent. Was he teaching? Was he teaching? I crawled in the city. I crawled in the city. I'm dyeing socks. I'm dyeing socks. Did you become a grocer afterwards? Did you become a grocer afterwards? Can you test normally? Can you test normally? May not buy after a year. May not buy after a year. He was not sleeping. He was not sleeping. Can't we borrow from time to time? Can't we borrow from time to time? Don't you have to grow every month? Don't you have to grow every month? Are his stepsisters chiefs? Are his stepsisters chiefs? Do you have to run? Do you have to run? Not going to be an assistant last year? Not going to be an assistant last year? This is a fascinating story. This is a fascinating story. Have we taught in 5 seconds before? Have we taught in 5 seconds before? My nose is constantly running and it's really annoying. My nose is constantly running and it's really annoying. Is my father an operator? Is my father an operator? Can you call often? Can you call often? We have to stick to the budget for this project. We have to stick to the budget for this project. You were on leave. You were on leave. Is his stepbrother a baker? Is his stepbrother a baker? You will be refreshed after 3 minutes. You will be refreshed after 3 minutes. We can enter. We can enter. We should not act at dawn. We should not act at dawn. Are assumed each month. Are assumed each month. Why not monthly? Why not monthly? I don't feel normal. I don't feel normal. It should not merge after 5 minutes. It should not merge after 5 minutes. Must complete. Must complete. They could notice. They could notice. The ground was covered with snow. The ground was covered with snow. Wouldn't he climb every day? Wouldn't he climb every day? Don't you hit. Don't you hit. It does not undertake 1 week later. It does not undertake 1 week later. We will not focus. We will not focus. They could burn last year. They could burn last year. The whole city was destroyed by the earthquake. The whole city was destroyed by the earthquake. He is not seldom a trainer. He is not seldom a trainer. We shouldn't create every day. We shouldn't create every day. Were his brothers cops? Were his brothers cops? Can't lobby now? Can't lobby now? Broke 10 years. Broke 10 years. His grandson was a diver. His grandson was a diver. Another possibility is to start a new project. Another possibility is to start a new project. Wouldn't the dawn add? Wouldn't the dawn add? Can we try? Can we try? It may not happen at sunrise. It may not happen at sunrise. After 3 seconds he can get scared. After 3 seconds he can get scared. Stretched a minute ago? Stretched a minute ago? I will go to bed. I will go to bed. Didn't I push 1 week ago? Didn't I push 1 week ago? It was the best choice among the candidates. It was the best choice among the candidates. I shouldn't swim occasionally. I shouldn't swim occasionally. Could not specify. Could not specify. Shouldn't he collect it every week? Shouldn't he collect it every week? Our husband is a filmmaker. Our husband is a filmmaker. Can't we sit for 2 p.m.? Can't we sit for 2 p.m.? I often go to the office. I often go to the office. You are now a travel agent. You are now a travel agent. He can be a nighttime announcer. He can be a nighttime announcer. His mother is a trainee. His mother is a trainee. I'm going. I'm going. He hated it every week. He hated it every week. Is his family a minor? Is his family a minor? Is her half-sister an air traffic controller? Is her half-sister an air traffic controller? Should not say at noon. Should not say at noon. My brother was a nurse. My brother was a nurse. Wakes up. Wakes up. Cashier 4 years ago. Cashier 4 years ago.